Live button now. We're just waiting for it to go. Hello, and welcome to Horror Movies and Shit. I'm your host, Jim, and with me as always is
Mark.
Mark. How are you today?
Oh, yeah. Just it's a beautiful, sunny, hot day in Florida again, so that's good.
That it is. That it is, unfortunately. It's a little too warm for me, but Mark, who do we have with us today?
We have the, I believe, writer, director, and star of Suspiria.
Oh,
Oh,
obviously.
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 Yeah, I mean,
No.
it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So now we have Jasmine with
Well,
us.
that's funny you should say that, Mark, because our friend Jasmine actually was in a short called
Yes,
Suspiria.
yes, thank you, Jim. Thank you. That's the whole point.
See,
Yeah.
I know you generally don't do research, Mark, so I wanted to help you out a little bit.
No, I do hate to tell you, I actually am the original. I'm just like a ghost writer, ghost director. I'm behind the scenes throughout it all. No, just
That is amazing.
my name is Jasmine. I'm an actress. Suspiria short is my graduation project from university when we all needed short reels desperately. And now Suspiria being my favorite movie, I took the script from the newer Suspiria and rewrote it slightly. So I didn't write the whole thing. I rewrote the new one because I hadn't watched it at that point, and try to make it into a short for something interesting. But I love your T-shirt.
Yes, thank you. And in fact, I just met one of the actresses from the original Suspiria a couple of weeks ago.
Oh wait, did you actually?
Mhm.
No
Yeah, I
way.
met Barbara. How do we pronounce her last name? Gandolfi. Gandolfi? Maybe?
Wow, how was that?
Oh, she was a sweetheart.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's lovely to hear.
Yeah,
Where did you guys meet? That's so random.
Well, she was at a convention.
Okay.
So yeah, so she was really nice. I had her sign the Laserdisc of Suspiria, so
Oh.
it's pretty cool.
So, Jasmine, we are excited to talk to you about an upcoming project because I don't believe it's wrapped yet, right? You're not done with post-production?
No, we're not. So we actually have some shooting left to do. So I am actually before this, and I need to continue doing it after this, picking out some costume ideas and stuff for my last day of shooting.
That's amazing. Is it bittersweet?
It is because of the nature of how we've shot it, because we've shot it pretty like scattered. It's been quite a long process. I think we've been going since was it October, November, and
wow.
so it's gonna be weird all of a sudden not having these occasional meetups to shoot this, and yeah, it's gonna be sad for sure.
Yeah.
Until the sequel, of course. Right?
Oof. We'll
no,
see.
this
We'll
is-
see if my character makes it. That's the thing.
Fingers crossed,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We'll see.
I mean,
That's pretty cool.
you did survive the short film, so
Oh well, the short film I wasn't in, so that is. So the short film is basically the first couple of scenes of the film where the character Abigail gets murdered, and that sort of transpires into, you know, I'm a part of the friendship group that Abigail was in, who's just gotten murdered. So the film where I come in is sort of after the short film and what's happened.
Interesting. So, well, we should probably mention what we're talking about, right? We're talking about the R.I.P Man. So we've been fortunate enough to talk to Jaime and Reese about this previously. So we're extremely excited to get more information from you, but we'll try not to put you in a position where you have to reveal too much.
Well, you can see how much you'll get out of me.
Well, Mark likes to try and charm his way, but he's not very charming, so I think you're kind of safe for that one.
Yeah.
Right,
So what's the twist at the end? No, I'm only kidding.
So tell us how you got involved with R.I.P Man.
Yeah, so I saw the casting call and applied, obviously, because it seemed like a really cool project. You know, this indie horror film. It's inspired by Scream, but with a different killer and different setting, obviously, being in England and with culture here.
Right.
And so I ended up getting a call back. And funny thing is, so the second rounds of auditions weren't actually traditional auditions. So all of us actors, were about 6 of us, I think, were invited to this pub And we basically just sat down and had a drink with Reese and Jamie. Got to see the script for the first time, spoke about it. And what they really wanted out of that was to sort of see who we were as people and how we could fit with the characters that they had in mind for us. And we didn't know any of this like at the time. And so, yeah, most of us from that callback sort of made it on. And a week later, we were on our first shooting date.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
It's a very British audition. It
was a very, very British pub. I was like, what am I walking into? What do I need to prepare anything? A meeting at a pub? What is going on? But honestly, I really preferred it, honestly, over just getting like a monologue. I mean, you can do a lot with a monologue. You can do a lot with a callback and getting a script, but it was a really new, fun, interesting way of doing it.
That's awesome, because I imagine that there's also something we said for the natural chemistry, right? It probably feeds a lot into character development.
Oh, 100%. Like when we came on set on the first day, it just all felt like we already knew each other because we'd sat down there for a couple of hours and had a drink together, and had not just spoken about the script and the friendship group there, but like who we were as people. And so I think that's really helped because it was chemistry right away between all of us.
So I'm curious, did you go into the initial audition blind, or did you have an inkling of what this movie was going to be about?
Yeah, no. So we did get like the Indiegogo page to read about it and sort of know what it's about. So Reese and Jamie have sort of been like creating content surrounding it, or try to develop it as a way to obviously get funding to get it made. And so that also is why we've been shooting sort of scattered, is to, upload new things and sort of give people a little bit more of a taste into what they're helping create,
right,
by supporting it.
Yep, I have been lucky enough to get some of the behind the scenes stills and stuff because I backed the Indiegogo, and it looks like you guys had a blast. I can't wait to see it.
It's been so fun, and I'm so excited to see how it's going to come out as well. Because the stills are looking really good so far, and it's just been a really fun process.
So I'm curious, as an actor, are you drawn to horror, or is this just luck of the draw?
No, I I do really like horror movies and the horror genre, and which is why I made my Suspiria grad project. I think there's so much versatility when it comes to horror films. There's so much imagination, and you can do so much with so little.
Yeah, that's probably very true. Mark?
Yes, I also like horror. Thanks, Jim.
I mean, you do have a podcast about horror films, so
he's just here because he thinks he looks pretty. He doesn't really offer any substance.
No, I don't.
I am curious though. What started your love of the genre then?
I think watching like creepy little YouTube videos and shorts online when I was a kid. It was me and this one friend, and we would find the scariest stuff we could find and bring them over to our friends and scare the living shit out of them. And it was, and we loved doing that. And we loved doing like the Bloody Mary and the Ouija boards and doing everything that we weren't supposed to do. But yeah, what about you guys? What drew you guys to horror?
Mark, you first.
Yeah, well, sorry. We have obviously a chat going here, and Big Papa Frock said that mustache is horror.
I don't know. I love this mustache. I don't care what he says.
I fully agree with that statement.
Thanks.
So what got me into horror again as a kid that grew up in the 80s? I think it was just the decade for horror. I remember again seeing Jaws absolutely terrified me, and then Poltergeist and American Werewolf in London. Basically, after watching those three movies, I was a horror fan for life. So
yeah,
that's fair. So when I was a kid, I also grew up in the 80s, but I remember when I was very young, probably way too young, my mother made a comment that she taped my favorite film off of TV, and so I was excited about it all day. I'm like, I don't know what it is. We're going to watch a movie tonight. Excuse me. So I get home and she says we can't watch it till after it gets dark, and it was the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh gosh, that'd be terrifying as a kid.
And my mother obviously thinking that it would scare the crap out of me. I was instantly in love, and that was like our quality time from then on, was just getting into horror movies, watching Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt, all that sort of stuff.
Do you think she questioned if you were okay?
What's that?
Do you think she questioned whether you were okay or not?
I don't, honestly, because she had the same experience with her mother, but it was the older Draculas and Wolfman and stuff when she was younger.
Jim, was there any other horror movies
Mark, shut up.
you as a kid?
Yes, there were lots of them.
Yeah, is there any one in particular that might stand out?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Have you heard of The Entity, Jasmine?
No, never heard of it.
You're not.
Of what?
It's a movie. It's a movie called The Entity with Barbara Hershey.
I have heard the title of it, yes, but I've not seen it.
You want to tell about it, Mark?
Yeah. So basically, it's based on a true. That's not based on anything true, but basically, it's Barbara Hershey getting raped by a ghost continually.
Oh, great!
So Jim and his mom sitting there, little Jim, probably 7 years old, eating his popcorn beside him and his mom, watching this movie.
Quality content. I mean, quality family time.
Let's be honest, though. At that age, I did not understand that part of the movie, and I did not see it again until I was much, much older, when I did understand it. So, but anyway, that's what got me into horror personally, and when I was a kid, I was staying with my grandparents up in Maine, and my great grandmother was huge about reading. So she had these giant stacks of books in her attic, and she asked us to go pick out a book to read at night, and I picked out Jaws.
Oh, of course.
I had no idea what it was about. It just had a shark on the cover. Yeah. That's all that mattered. So anyway, let's talk about some of your short films, shall we?
Sure.
Let's start with Picking Up the Pieces. Tell me about that movie.
Ooh, so that was like the first university short film that I was cast in. It was fun. It was basically about this therapist who needed therapy herself, but was trying to ignore it, and so she ended up taking a lot of her anger out on her clients. What I really enjoyed about doing that project was that the director let us improvise some of the scenes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think improvisation is such a good tool for unlocking, true emotions and true feelings. And so I was very happy with how that came out. I was editing it as well, but we had some technical issues being students, or not technical issues, but maybe some framing and, some quirks here and there. So it was never fully finished. We made like a version to screen to our friends and everything, but the full thing is not out there. But I used some clips from my show reel and everything.
Nice. And okay, so I know you put a lot of heart and blood, sweat, and tears into your project so far, but which one are you most proud of?
Most proud of? Oh, I think I did Project Fully. Maybe the one I wrote as well, Why I Hate Birthdays. It's not necessarily my best performance ever, or like it's not perfect, but I wrote the monologue and a script from something that I could very much relate to. And I had a very close friend do the piece with me. And I put a lot of heart and soul into, the set design and how I want it to look. And it was very much like a project that I made from scratch. And it was the first thing that I fully wrote after almost failing my writing module, because my teacher hated me for some reason, because I wanted to make experimental horror art films. And she said, this university does not want to be associated with this project, and that gave me just trauma from writing. So Why I Hate Birthdays is sort of my first real try again after that, because that was a lot.
Now, did you have that attitude just because, horror seems kind of beneath the university? Did you not really realize it's art? Just the same as any other genre?
I don't really, to this day, I don't really know her thought about it. It was quite a graphic, but not even visually graphic. It was just like graphic in terms of what it was about.
Mhm.
But that's the art of experimental horror art
Right.
films, is that you don't necessarily show exactly what it's talking about, but it's talking about a lot of deep stuff. And so one tutor had me in like had me for the module and taught me and guided me, and he added even more fucked up ideas to it. And I was really happy with the story, and it got to a point where he was like, I wouldn't change a single thing now about this. This is great. This is creative. And then I got my mark back and someone else had graded it. And I ended up having her for the next module after. And it took a while to get her to like me, but we got there in the end.
So, what kind of drove you into like getting into filmmaking and acting? Was it just, as you were growing up, you're like, this seems awesome, or is there anything specific?
Yeah, so it took me a while to fully realize why, because I've always sort of been drawn to it. But then a couple years ago now, I realized that, it's because my mom. Because when I was in kindergarten, so she's a single parent, and you can't always get a babysitter or something. And so she was studying drama at the time when I was in kindergarten. It's like 5 years old, maybe 4 years old, and she would have to bring me along to some of her classes, and I would sit there on the floor with a carpet, my iPad or something like that, some game and some snacks, and then she would go on that stage and do her thing. And I remember really clearly one of the plays she did. I can't remember what it was called, but I remember the costumes and everything, and I think that ultimately stuck with me. And also just her being so supportive. And I've been very lucky to have really supportive tutors around me growing up who encouraged me to follow that.
Tim?
Yes, sir. I will say this though, Jasmine. I'm not a creative person, so I applaud anybody that's willing to put something out there. So kudos to you for trying again, even after you sort of lost your confidence for a bit.
I mean, I wouldn't say you're not a creative person. I think you're being a bit harsh on yourself. Because I mean, I think horror requires you to use some of your. Stop shaking your head.
I am very technical. Like I can fix a computer, I can do all that. Planning and or like writing and the stuff that's more abstract, not so much.
Well, maybe you've not put yourself so much in tune with it or like acknowledged it, because horror does require you to fill gaps with your imagination. It leaves a lot of room.
That is true. That and I'm a little twisted. A little bit, just a little.
I'll agree to that. So who are some of the people either in acting, directing, that you kind of look up to and say, wow, they're that's something I aspire to?
I think I'm a huge fan of Aronofsky's films. I love the way, he doesn't need to have the most extravagant, loud film, but it says so much. And he's so good at capturing that feeling of wanting to turn the film off because it's like pissing you off, whatever is like going on. And it's so frustrating that you can just like jump in and help the character. But you feel so immersed that you can't really look away or turn it off either. And I think that's so genius with, the limited amount of sets and actors and everything that he uses. Now, a pretty basic actor that I really like is Jennifer Lawrence. Because
she's amazing.
Oh, she's great because she can do every single genre. Like, and she does this so well. Have you seen Mother?
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan?
No.
I really liked it.
Yeah, and that's saying something because I love both Jennifer Lawrence and Michelle Pfeiffer, and that movie was so boring.
Really?
Yeah, not a fan.
How come you think that?
I don't have an answer for that. I was bored through the whole movie. I didn't find any of it terrifying at all.
Welcome to my world.
How do you put up with him?
Right? Exactly.
What? But I can't imagine that, because that movie, I was so fascinated by that movie. And again, it was I think it was one of the first Aronofsky films I properly like sat down and watched, and what got me so interested in him, and also amazed by Jennifer Lawrence, because I feel like that performance showed such range in who she is.
I absolutely agree. She's a phenomenal actress, and again, Michelle Pfeiffer, one of my favorites. But just that movie did not gel for me.
And I got kind of Rosemary's Baby type, feelings from it. Like everyone's like gaslighting her.
Thanks, Big Papa. Big Papa says I agree with the mustache.
That's the vibe.
That's gonna be my nickname from now on. But so that might be the thing, right? Is I did not like Rosemary's Baby. Same thing with Apartment. Apartment. I found it boring. I didn't think it was terrifying. I thought it was a bunch of gaslighting. It was not exciting.
That's the horror of it, though.
Yeah,
that's the horror of it.
But the thing is, horror films don't need to be necessarily scary. Like,
no, I agree.
Scary, terrifying, or like jump scary, but it is like still a horror film.
I'm not a fan of Suspiria either.
Oh my god! How do I get off this?
Okay. How do I get off this?
Right. Mark is the guy for all of the more cerebral stuff. I'm a big slasher, and I don't know.
I like all different genres, subgenres within horror.
There are some experimental or I guess more art house stuff that I like. Like I love Velvet Buzzsaw. Deep Dark is one of my favorites, but just I don't know, Rosemary's Baby, that whole existential dread doesn't really connect with me, I guess.
You said you were a very like logical guy, but then you say you don't like cerebral stuff.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, what films do you like then?
Nightmare on Elm Street, still a favorite.
Things you saw as a kid.
What?
Movies you saw as a kid.
Incorrect, because Late Night with the Devil was amazing. I loved Event Horizon. In the Mouth of Madness was great. Prince of Darkness was great. So there's so many, but that one not so much.
Seems like there are other people in the chat agreeing with you as well.
It's good to know I'm not alone. So, Big Papa Frock.
There is films for everyone.
Jasmine, have you seen Antichrist, the Lars von Trier movie?
Wait, which one? Antichrist?
Yes, with Willem Dafoe.
My sister has, and she's spoken about it.
So that, I think that movie plays very well alongside Mother, and also another one, Man, the Alex Garland movie. I think they could all work as a triple bill.
Okay, nice. I do need to get around to watch those. So I've heard amazing things about it.
I will say this though, with the exception of a few specific actresses, I will always give a horror movie a shot.
Ooh, so who will you not watch?
Jennifer Carpenter and Sherry Moon Zombie.
Okay. Wait, so which films have they been in again?
Jennifer Carpenter was Quarantine. She was in The Exorcism of Emily Rose, Dexter.
Oh.
I can't stand her on screen.
Oh.
So Big Papa Frock wants to know your thoughts on The Witch.
On The Witch? Oh my god, it's been so long since I've watched it, but I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I think she's great. I honestly... I remember finding it okay, not bad. Not like my favorite film. But I feel like I need to rewatch it because people are raving about that film and I want to love it as well. Yeah. So I feel like I need to sit down and give it another rewatch. With Hereditary as well. I need to rewatch it because
Hereditary.
I didn't see the hype.
I think the Hereditary is a modern day classic.
I agree that the grief in it is so real and palpable. I think that's the genius of that film.
Fair. I think like the acting, and there are certain scenes that I find like they're amazingly well done, and I think again I want to love it. I remember watching and being like, why is this so hyped up? But I need to rewatch it.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on Witch, both of you?
It's another movie I don't particularly care for.
Fair.
So The Witch for me, it's more a historical drama.
Mhm.
I think criticizing religion and like patriarchal hubris with some horror thrown in.
Yep.
So I think if you go into it expecting like it's just horror, then maybe it could be disappointing for some people. But
So I will say that there's a TV show called Salem that does the historical bit mixed in with horror much better than The Witch, in my opinion.
I've been recommended that actually.
It's very, very well done.
Okay.
So
Salem.
I think with Eggers really diving into the old time language and having that green lit, is something because I'm sure that was not an easy sell. Because I can only imagine the people that were sitting there like, what are they saying? What's going on here? So.
I mean,
I think that attention to detail really. We're going to get on to his. I just watched Nosferatu.
Why are you laughing?
he has some definite strong opinions.
So here's the thing,
So don't spoil it because I haven't gone around.
Oh no!
I haven't seen it yet either. So
I've only heard good things though.
You can't really
I already know about the last scene. It's not good.
Oh.
You can't really spoil it because it's basically just Dracula anyway. But
right.
So with Eggers, again, The Witch I thought was an interesting drama. The Lighthouse to me is a borderline comedy. It's just hilarious. But I think both Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe like played into that a lot too.
Yep.
So it's almost like that they were aware. Nosferatu, beautifully shot, wonderful locations, but it's bordering on parody as well because it's so overwrought. Both the script and the acting that it's almost like Dracula Dead and Loving It if somebody was like trying to make that a serious movie. And all the cast are really kind of bought into that too, as far as being very straight-laced and treating it very seriously when it's a very kind of goofy movie in a lot of ways. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it for that.
Interesting take. Okay.
That's funny you say that, Mark, because I actually saw The Monkey.
Oh yes, I was going to go see that.
Oh really? I'm planning on watching that tomorrow. Actually,
I will say this: I was a little caught off guard initially because I was not expecting a horror comedy.
Yeah.
But once I settled into that groove, that movie's hysterical. I was cackling through a lot of that movie. It was great.
Gosh, I can't wait. Yeah, because I heard some people say that literally earlier today. Oh, that was the funniest movie ever.
Yeah. And I don't know if you can see it in the background, but back there I have the popcorn bucket.
Oh, yeah.
And we can also talk about, how you market a film. Does a lot to what the audience is expecting going in.
Yeah.
And if it's not marketed the correct way, it might be a really good movie, but you're expecting something totally different.
Yep.
So you're just going to be like, no, I didn't, because it's not what I wanted.
Well, we've had that conversation before, right, Mark? Because I had the same feeling from Dusk Till Dawn, right? I went in expecting this really vicious vampire film, but it's a lot more horror comedy. So I was caught off guard, and initially I hated the film. And then I went back a couple of years later and rewatched it, knowing what to expect, and it's a great film. I have no complaints anymore.
I don't even remember the marketing for that, honestly.
Yeah,
monkey. Don't they have like kind of a funny tagline, like a monkey kills everyone that's sad or something, or everyone's dead?
I have not seen that tagline.
My day job is at a cinema, so I see that tagline every day, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it is now. But it's something like a monkey kills everything, or everyone dies. It's pretty like it's kind of comedic, but the pictures and everything of the monkey is quite creepy.
They should just put the monkey. He's bananas.
That would be great. That would be fantastic. I will say that Theo James playing dual roles in this film was pretty genius. Like he did a good job.
I'm excited to watch it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Jim, we have some comments in the comment section or questions. Do you want to?
We do. Bella, we were just talking about The Monkey. And then Big Papa wants to know what you guys think of Shaun of the Dead.
I think you missed one there.
I'm not asking about that film, Mark.
Serbian film's great, so
Never seen it.
My sister's watched it. She explained it to me. I don't know if I will watch it.
Exactly.
I've been explained it.
Yeah. Mark has laid it out fully for me. I don't feel the need to watch it.
No, I mean, you have to know what you're getting into, and some people
Yes, you do.
will just not want, and that's fine. I mean, everyone's got certain limits to what they will or won't watch, but it's absolutely wonderfully directed and acted, and yeah, it's fucked up. But to me, the bad guys are so over the top. It's kind of more cartoonish than something which is a little bit more, grounded in reality, shall we say? So, anyway,
no, but I feel like what my sister was explaining of it, from everything that happens in it just sounds like, when you're young and you're curious and you go on these like gore sites, you're like, what is it look like when some death and murder happens?
that was
it just sounds like that.
Back in the 90s, that was rotten.com. Just saying.
Oh,
I might have surfed that a little bit.
Rigor Mortis I was on, I think. But yeah.
So Big Papa's asking about Shaun of the Dead. Jasmine, what do you think of Shaun of the Dead?
Again, a movie I've watched ages ago, but I remember finding it really funny.
Yep, I agree. I think it's fantastic.
Great. Yeah.
I love that whole trilogy that they have, that I forget what they call it, but it's Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and At World's End.
I still haven't seen At World's End.
I haven't watched that one either. I haven't watched that one in its entirety in probably 4 years, so I don't remember much about it. But the first two I loved. I think Hot Fuzz I liked better than Shaun of the Dead, to be perfectly honest. But Shaun of the Dead's great.
Okay, well it's always interesting when a sequel or that comes after is better than the original. And
they're not even really connected. It's sort of like Mark's favorite trilogy, the what is it, the Apocalypse trilogy, Mark?
Yeah.
That's not really a thing. It's almost in that same vein.
It is a thing, Tim.
It is not a thing.
So, Jasmine, have you heard of John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy?
I've heard of it, but I'm not seeing that.
Okay, so it's The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and In the Mouth of Madness. They're all about kind of the end of the world. So.
Okay.
As standalone films, they're all great. They have nothing in common.
Well, neither. You just called the Shaun of the Dead thing a trilogy, Jim.
I did. You're right, because that's what they refer to it as. Mm-hmm.
But they've got nothing to do with each other.
I agree.
Same title, though, don't they?
I agree. But anyway, Big Papa Frock also wants to know, what's your favorite horror comedy, Jasmine?
Ooh, good question. You guys answer first, and let me think.
Mark?
Well, I'm just going to bring up one because finally, we go to a horror convention here in Florida, and they're finally getting the cast and some of the crew of Reanimator. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, like Reanimator is awesome. In fact, From Beyond's even funnier. But there's so many great ones. Evil Dead 2. I mean, you can just sit here and list off. Just Night of the Creeps. So many.
I would have to go with Zombievers, Tucker and Dale versus Evil are two of my favorites right off the top of my head. But the ultimate horror comedy for me is Dead Alive by Peter Jackson.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
I think I realized I haven't watched that many horror comedies, like, purposely. I think I need to watch more. I mean, I remember watching the Happy Death Day films. I thought that was pretty entertaining.
I will be on. Funny story, I did not watch that movie for 3 years because I couldn't stand the main character's first name.
Oh, no.
This is what I have to deal with.
Really?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just had a problem with the main character named Tree.
But, some people might just be named that.
They might, but I also had the same issue with Final Destination with Clear Rivers.
Yeah.
I was so excited when they blew that character up, literally.
So this is what Jim does. So there's a movie coming out. So Jim will pull up the IMDb page. Is Jennifer Carpenter or Sherry Moon Zombie? Like, nope.
not
What are the
watch.
characters' names? Is there any ones that I don't like? Because I'm not going to watch this movie.
Oh my god, so
I-
picky.
I can be a little pedantic. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, here's the question: would Twilight count as a horror comedy?
No, it's just a trope at this point.
Because I find it hilarious, and it's got vampires and werewolves, so technically.
Oh God, Papa Frock just quoted Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Oh, not saying that.
So
about the killer turkey.
It's about a killer turkey.
Oh, great! Oh, amazing! Love that.
Yes. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, there's a scene in it which is absolutely genius because the turkey has killed and ripped off the face of one of the character's fathers, and she's bending down to talk to this like 2-foot high turkey, thinking it's her dad. Like straight faced. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
It sounds like I have to watch it.
It is. It's absolutely great. And the tagline on it is "tits in the first 2 minutes" or something stupid like that. It's great.
And then they made part 3, right? And they skipped over part 2.
They did.
They did.
Gosh, I think I have to watch that before the 4th one comes out.
It's a staple now every Thanksgiving.
I love that.
Let's see what else. What do you guys think of 28 Days Later?
Which film is that again?
That's Cillian Murphy, where he wakes up in the hospital, sort of like the opening of The Walking Dead.
It's the one based in London where they got everyone off the streets and made it look deserted.
Okay, so again, something I should have watched that I haven't watched.
Well, the 3rd one is coming out this year, or is it next year, Mark? 28 years later.
I think it's next year, maybe.
Okay, maybe next year. There's all kinds of hubbub about one of the zombies looks a little like Cillian Murphy. So they're like, oh, they brought him back, and they're like, no, that's a prosthetic.
Oh
Jim, they're not zombies. Sorry.
They are in 28 years later.
They're not.
Have you seen them?
Yes.
They are completely emaciated. They would have to be dead.
So, no.
Yes.
No. Anyway.
So
28 days.
Technically, they're infected by the rage virus. They're not typical zombies.
28 Days Later is a classic, but I actually prefer the sequel. 28 Weeks Later.
And that's okay. I liked the sequel, but I still like the original better.
Yep. They're both great.
I don't even know how to answer this. What's up? Ever try it? In the 3rd movie for what, Big Papa? Wait. Oh, Lindsay wants us to give her a shout out. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey.
Hey, Lindsay.
I don't know what that means. Thank you for saying we're nice. I appreciate that. We try. Anyway, back to horror movies. Mark, what are some of your favorites?
Well, of course, I'll say it again. I think the best horror movie ever made is Martyrs.
Agreed. Great French extremity.
Tell me about it.
Be careful, Mark. It's a brutal film.
Oh, it's brutal. Okay.
Yeah, but it kind of mixes a lot of subgenres, and you never know where it's going. But basically, it starts with. I'll just give you the premise. A little like 10-year-old girl, she's kind of like chained up. She's being force fed. She's obviously being tortured. But she gets away and runs away, and they put her in an orphanage, and she makes friends with another girl in there. Then it skips ahead like 10 years, and she's kind of on the lookout to see who kidnapped her and kind of get revenge. But it's way more than that.
It is.
What makes it your favorite film?
So I love that there's. I hate to actually say it because it kind of spoils it a little bit, but there's so many different twists and turns in it, that it just always kept me on my toes. It's beautifully shot, acted. There is that level of brutality, and it's got perhaps one of the best endings, ambiguous endings, to any horror film. Which you can sit and talk about the ending, and I'll give you my opinion. I take somebody else's opinion. Nobody's right or wrong, so I just think in totality, it's just the best horror movie out there.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because I feel like it's tough with horror movies nowadays because there's been so many and people have seen it all basically. So it's hard to come up or keep someone on their toes constantly. And I feel like something I was speaking to my friends about the other day as well is that like horror movies will never be as good as when we were like 10 and secretly watching them.
Right, that's true.
Oh, it's true for Jim.
Unfortunately.
I mean, I never secretly watched them though. Like I could do it out in the open.
Well, yeah, of course. As
You know what movie really scared the shit out of me when I was 10 years old, Mark?
What?
Monty Python's The Meaning of Life.
Just one more wafer, please.
There was that, and then there was the scene with the organ donor where they come to reclaim his organs. Scared the living crap out of me because my mother had just come home and told me she became an organ donor because you signed up for it when you got your license.
Oh,
And they come home, they come to this guy's house, pick him up, put him on the table, and start harvesting his organs. So 10-year-old me is crying, like ugly crying, thinking this is what's going to happen to my mother. But then you show me Nightmare on Elm Street, and I'm good.
Gosh, traumatized.
It was.
Yeah, I remember one film that I remember being super scared of because I was my babysitters and I mean she wasn't that much older than me, but she was allowed to watch like a lot more than I was allowed to. And she put on this movie, and I can't remember what it's called, but I remember it so well. And it was these like two scientists, and they had this little alien thing with a tail, and it shot out a knife out of its tail, and the little alien thing grew up, and she started becoming jealous of the scientist woman.
Splice.
Mm-hmm.
That terrified the shit out of me when I was a kid. Yeah.
So
it always sticks with me.
two other movies that scared the crap out of me, right? And it's I don't know why it's got to be the animal abuse in them, and that is The Prophecy from 1979 with the mutated baby bear, and Orca the Killer Whale with Richard Harris from 1974, when they cut the whale open on the deck. Those movies traumatized me.
Oh God.
Yeah, I don't like The Fly 2. Have you seen The Fly 2? It's really sad movie. I don't like watching that movie.
Yeah, what are some things that
dog,
really put you guys off? What are some things you don't like when it comes to horror movies or find uncomfortable?
I find SA, just for the purposes of being shocking, to be a cutoff point for me.
Yeah, it was tough watching The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah.
It was really hard to watch because it was done so realistically and it was showing so much and it was in it for an uncomfortable amount of time. And I understand, like, with that film, I do understand it as a part of the storytelling, and you're really in there with her and what she's going through, but it's overwhelming. I had to take a moment after watching that film.
One of the most disturbing films to me, right, was, and I literally walked out of the theater while watching this, was Rules of Attraction.
Okay.
Because of the way that they treated suicide and the way that they treated SA. It was just, it was done just to be disgusting, right? There was no purpose to any of these scenes.
Yeah.
And that was a bridge too far for me.
We have a number of comments.
We do, Mark. Go ahead.
Mike says, "Mark, can you cough again?"
You just did.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, Lindsay again. Can we scroll down on this? How do you scroll down on this?
You should be able to.
No, I don't.
Mike Ermin Trout is saying hi, Mark, several times.
Oh, hi, Mark.
No, Mike, not Mark.
No, I know, but not one above it from the room.
He actually, it looks like he took your picture. Isn't that nice? Good. Yeah. It's interesting choice there, Mark. Appreciate that. Big Papa Frock wants to know if you've ever seen Longlegs.
Longlegs. Yes, I have. And I can't really remember what it's about, so tell me. But I know I have watched it. I watched it recently. But you guys have seen it, right?
I have not. I've refused to watch it.
Oh, what? Wait, let me see. Longlegs.
It was just on principle because I couldn't stand the hype.
Oh yeah, okay. I really liked it. I wish I had cinema. And I really enjoyed it up until they brought religion into it, and I feel like that wasn't a part of the story up until like the last bit, and they sort of ran out of ideas, and we're like, oh shit, we gotta make this make sense somehow, so let's just throw religion at it. It's a horror film. And then I found out later as well that it's pretty controversial as well. Because of what people are saying that it says about, you know, transgender people. I did not get that from the story, but again, that is not my story,
Right.
so I wouldn't be able to fully understand what
Fair
that's
enough.
like and why people are seeing it that way. So I thought it had great potential and just didn't deliver.
Fair enough. Mark, you're the only other one that's seen it.
I really enjoyed it. In fact, I think if Nicolas Cage had just toned it down a little bit, it would have been better. I know people are like raving about his performance in it, but I think it goes a little bit too far in it.
Really?
Yeah. Just because, you know, just because it's Nicolas Cage, and Nicolas Cage is just known for that, and it's just like it might have been, you know, a more interesting choice if you just toned it down a little bit. But other than that, I mean, I thought it was pretty entertaining, and
Like the religion aspect was a bit random.
yeah, towards the end. You know where he got his idea for the movie?
No.
So basically, have you heard of John Benet Ramsey? She was a little girl kidnapped over here. So I guess whenever they were, you know, trying to find her, they went down into the basement, and there was a life-size doll, basically just of her down there, and that's kind of where he started getting an idea for the movie. So that's pretty
interesting.
That is.
So then why bring in religion?
Yeah, that's
good, like inspiration for the movie, and then religion.
Have you seen Late Night with the Devil?
I have not. I have not. So I have heard mixed reviews though.
I loved it personally. There's one scene in the film where if they would have stopped the film at that point, it would have been absolutely perfect. But they continue it, and the part that continues sort of changes the entire narrative in the film. And it's one of those movies. Initially, I didn't know how I felt, but I thought about it for a few days, and I thought it was genius.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
You know, obviously it's a riff on the late night talk shows, and I think David Demelchian is fantastic in the role.
Yep, I agree. So you should.
Yeah, that kind of hurt me sometimes, because I feel like, especially in film school as well, when we were learning about writing and, you know, creating our own things, I sort of found myself wanting to end at an earlier point and sort of leave the ending a little bit up to the audience or a little bit ambiguous. But that was a huge no, especially in film school, because you had to. And I feel like a lot of movies just tend to over-explain, where it's like, we get it. We don't need that last bit.
I agree. Sort of like stop motion, right? Where the ending is just, it doesn't really define anything. It doesn't have to be clear cut, which is why Mark loves Martyrs.
Oh.
Well, one of the reasons. Yeah.
He loves those ambiguous endings where you have to think about it a lot.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, because you're left with like that feeling of like having to analyze and go back and think about what you've just watched, and it's just if it's too over explained, it just kind of loses a little bit of class, I think. Or
I agree.
Excitement around the story. I hate open endings.
Yeah, I was just reading that too.
Just use your brain.
Spicy Tuber 2 wants to know if you prefer The Punisher or Deadpool.
Oh, I've not seen either.
Oh, Mark?
As a character or as in like
it's open-ended, so take it as you will.
They're both kind of very different characters.
They are.
One's obviously, you know, super serial, and Deadpool's obviously, you know, the fourth wall breaking kind of. I mean, I think they're both great by themselves. It's a hard comparison for me.
I've only ever seen Thomas Jane's The Punisher. I've not seen any of the other ones, so I was not a huge fan. Deadpool is amazing. I absolutely love Ryan Reynolds. I think he's a fantastic actor, and that character is perfect for him.
I actually find the Thomas Jane Punisher the weakest of the Punisher movies.
I'm
which
not
is
disagreeing.
weird. Which is weird because the first one's Dolph Lundgren in it, but
Yep.
it's very 80s and over the top action.
Yep. So Jasmine, are there any films other than The Monkey that you're excited to see come out soon?
I feel like there's so many films that I need to catch up on. But I'm really excited to see, and this is not a horror film, but The Last Showgirl. I'm kind of excited to see Pamela Anderson make her return to the screen.
I think I know what movie you're talking about.
Yeah, so I think the trailer recently just dropped, and she's like, a showgirl, and
I got a screener for that movie, so I've already seen it.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
No way.
Yes, I have.
What's your thoughts?
I don't want to discourage you from seeing it because it's definitely worth watching.
Okay.
I will say that I don't feel that Pamela Anderson does the role justice, but she is lifted up by the cast around her.
Okay. Interesting. Fair enough.
I also have an issue with people that, well, I don't want to ruin it. Let's just say I have an issue with the motivations and her character's actions in general, but I won't ruin it. So we'll talk about that after you've seen it.
Okay, fair. Interesting.
And Jim, how would you rate the characters' names?
Honestly, I don't remember, but I will say that you probably will be surprised to see a lot of the people that are in that film with her. You have Jamie Lee Curtis is in the film with her. God, why can't I remember these other people off the top of my head? Now I got to see this. I got to look up The Last Showgirl again. I cannot believe I don't remember because I was so. It's not my normal kind of movie, but it. Like I said, I think she was. Kieran Shipka is in it, but she's sort of wasted. Dave Bautista's in it. Billy Lord. So I was really surprised by all the big names in this film. I really was because it's more of an independent film, but it's beautifully shot. The storyline is engaging. I just don't like Pamela Anderson's character.
Oh, that's a shame.
But it may not be a shame after you watch it. So we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Well, we'll talk about that next time we have you. Yeah. That's going to be a note for the next time you're on.
It's coming out, I think Friday here.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. So you definitely should check it out.
Yeah, I just looked up as well upcoming horror films releases. I've Death of a Unicorn.
I've not heard of that.
I have seen some marketing for it.
I was just going to say I might have seen a trailer.
Jenna Ortega, which she's doing a big one at the moment.
Yeah, she is. Oh, yes. This looks hysterical.
Right, exactly.
Yep,
so I'm excited for that to come out. See what that's.
Yep. Have you seen the trailer for Clown in a Cornfield?
I have not. Clown in a Cornfield.
No, Big Papa Frank, you do not get to see Pam's boobies in that movie. So, Clown in a Cornfield is a quote-unquote YA slasher set of books by Adam Caesar.
Interesting. And
it's been adapted into a film. I'm honestly a little concerned because the books are pretty brutal, and it looks like they're going the horror comedy route. So I'm afraid that they may go too far into that rather than making the tone true to the original material, which is going to be, in my opinion, a detriment to the film.
How brutal can they be in a YA book, though?
It's not really YA. They call it YA because the characters are 17 and 18-year-old.
Well, okay. I don't know who would call it that then. That's weird.
Well,
if you go to Barnes & Noble, you'll find it in the young adult section, Mark.
Okay. Barnes & Noble are not the boss of me.
Yep.
No, but I think it's quite tough, though, making remaking stuff or making things out of a book. So sometimes it's like actually better to go a different direction. That's like when, again, back to Suspiria, the newer Suspiria, I was scared to watch it because I was like, why are they remaking something great? Like, you can't compare to that. But then they didn't even try. They went a whole new direction with it and made it into its own film. So sometimes, it's hard to live up to the expectations of something loved already. So making something new out of it.
You're absolutely right. I had the same feeling with Knock at the Cabin, or The Cabin at the End of the World. wait, The Cabin at the End of the World is the name of the book, right? And then it was Knock at the Cabin was the movie. I
Right.
hated the book. I thought it was terrible, but I thought they did the film much, much better than the book.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep.
It's not very often the case, I think.
I agree. I absolutely agree. But I'm also not a huge fan of the author. I like some of his books, but for the most part, he's a big miss for me.
Do you guys read a lot as well?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I'm a huge horror reader, mostly independent horror. Mark and I actually have been oft in a book together.
Mm-hmm.
You've been what?
Killed in a book.
Wait, really?
Yes. Our friend James Kane wrote a book called Black Friday, and Mark and I
What?
feature in some pretty prominent death scenes.
No way. What?
Yes.
Oh, that's sick. Okay.
And you don't know this yet, Mark, but we're also going to be in a short story together.
Oh, really?
Called The Last Show. Yes. Our buddy Tim King has written a story for a charity anthology where we kill each other.
Well, just like real life.
Pretty much.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean it, and I have to say I was lucky enough to already read it because I'm putting the anthology together. It's amazing. It's great.
Sick. Where can we read this? Where can we find them?
So the Black Friday one you can find on Amazon.
Okay.
The anthology will be out sometime in late June, early July. It's going to be called Bizarre Splatter Patterns.
Ooh.
So Mark doesn't know this yet, but all of the proceeds for that anthology are going to the Point Foundation, which offers college scholarships to LGBTQIA persons.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
That's great.
Big Papa Frock. Oh, yeah, that's one I forgot. I also feature in a story where I am the killer, Big Papa Frock. My buddy Tim King wrote a story called The Bayside Butcher. I don't know if I'm technically the killer because, well, there's a reason for it, but I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, you don't spoil it now.
Yeah, not gonna. But I do take people out. That's all I'll say.
Great.
It's fun though. Like I've always wanted to be oft in a book, and James Kane did it perfectly. Right, Mark?
I'm hoping to like play more killers, I think, because I'm often cast as like the victim, but I kind of want to play a villain.
I've heard that the villains can be more fun.
Right, exactly.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
There's
something so fun about getting to be a little mean and have no consequences.
Like I don't know if you guys have this, but there's one actress that I'd always wanted to see play a psychopath, and that's Laurie Metcalf when she was on Roseanne. And I got to see that in Scream 2, and it was genius. She was perfect. She was everything I hoped she would be. So I was very excited about that.
That's a weird thing to be thinking about when you're watching Roseanne.
It was, right? I agree, but I always thought she would play a good psychopath because she had those mood swings. Her character had those mood swings, and she did them so well. You don't have an actress or actor that you've wanted to see play a bad guy yet, Mark?
I would have to think about it.
What about you, Jasmine?
That's a really good question. Has Florence Pugh really played like a really bad guy yet?
I don't think so.
I feel like that's another one where she's always cast as a victim, and it would be interesting to see what she would do with a more villainous character. Because I could see her. I don't know. I've met her, and she's extremely nice. She's extremely lovely. But it would just be interesting to see her as like, something different.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
She was kind of the protagonist in the Hawkeye TV series.
Oh, okay.
I will say, like, I talked earlier about my love for Michelle Pfeiffer, and seeing her take a villainous turn in both White Oleander and then Stardust was absolutely perfect.
I loved White Oleander. Yeah,
and she was horrible in that film, like to her daughter. She was evil, and it was great.
No, but she's got that like intimidating aura.
Yes.
where it's like when she really plays into that, yeah,
Yep.
you don't need her.
Exactly.
She's in that mood, yeah. No, she did amazing in that. And I actually used a monologue from White Oleander to get into film school.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I think it was when the daughter was talking to her mother, Michelle Pfeiffer, in prison. I think when she visited her, it was in some courtyard. I can't remember. Yeah, some monologue from White Oleander.
Yeah, that was Alison Lohman, right? Who played the daughter?
Let me see. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great film. They're both phenomenal actresses.
It was so good, and I don't feel like it's talked about a lot.
I agree. And it's not a movie that I normally would watch, but I watched it because of Michelle.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I would also watch any film that I saw had
Yep.
Michelle Pfeiffer in it.
Yep. Even if I don't like it, I still will watch it 100%.
Like Mother.
Yep. I did. I gave it a shot. Big Papa Frock wants to know, or is, while we were talking about people we'd like to see play a villain, he mentioned Hilary Duff or Lindsay Lohan.
Oh, interesting.
I think Hilary Duff could do it. I'm not sure how I feel about Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, because that's what I was just trying to picture. Because she has such a strong personality, but it would be interesting to see if she was handed a villainous role, what she would do with it.
It could be.
Whether it'd be good or not.
Yeah, I'm. That's sort of like, right, what's her name? Alyssa Milano, when she tried to do the Poison Ivy sequel, where she played like this Lolita, it just doesn't work. But with Drew Barrymore, she was amazing, right? It was all kinds of controversial because of the age of the character she was playing and what was happening in the film, but it was done so well but Alyssa Milano just doesn't have that same gravitas to her persona.
Well, it's hard as well, because sometimes you feel like you're really putting yourself into the character and who they're supposed to be, but then some people just don't carry that same authority, and I don't know if that's something that you can work on, but it's hard because sometimes you think you're coming across a certain way and then you're not at all when you're watching it back. And I found that a couple times myself in self-tapes and stuff. I'm like, wow, I thought I killed that, and then it was like, ooh, gosh.
It's funny how perception works, right? Because I've been told that I can be quite aggressive, and I never thought of myself as aggressive before. So, and they're like, what, Mark? What are you laughing about?
No, please. So you know what it reminds me of, back whenever they cast Heath Ledger as the Joker. I remember so many people saying, "Why did they cast Heath Ledger? This is going to be absolutely terrible," and he just knocked it out of the park.
Oh, Big Papa Frock wants to see the Olsen twins play villains.
Why? Just why?
That's out of left field, Big Papa. I just have to say that. That's
so he has a lot of faith.
Their sister could do it. What is it? Oh my God.
Elizabeth?
Yeah. Is it Elizabeth? Yes. She could do it. She has the personality, because even with WandaVision or the Scarlet Witch, she gets there, right? She becomes unhinged, and she does a great job of it.
Oh, again, she's the antagonist of Doctor Strange too.
Yes. So she could absolutely do it. I'm not even going to repeat that. You guys can read the chat yourself.
Message received.
Yeah, that's a little cringe there, pal. But anyway, Jasmine, I do want to say thank you for hanging out with us, and we will be getting you back on after you've watched some of the movies we've recommended.
I have a lot to watch now, so
you do, and we do. We're going to watch the R.I.P Man for sure.
Definitely, yeah. So we're aiming to release this summer 2025. I'm sure Jaime Reese have mentioned it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So what else do you have coming up, by the way?
What else? At the moment, I'm actually just auditioning quite a bit. I'm currently writing something that I want to develop. It's sort of I wouldn't call it a horror film, but it's like maybe a psychological thriller with some murder in it.
Okay.
Some murder sprees, you know. And I wanted to. It was very much inspired by how Dev Patel did Monkey Man. How he incorporated his culture into it. I kind of want to make it a little bit unique by incorporating Norwegian culture into it, which is where I'm from, Norway. Because I don't feel like there's a lot of films that show that a lot, and also talks about the flaws. But also because like when people mention Norway, it's always about, oh, it's so beautiful, it's great, it's amazing, but then there's a lot of things that you don't really realize until you live there.
Right.
So I'm working on that at the moment, and then just auditioning for stuff, and
Big Papa Frock's asking.
They're messy.
Big Papa Frock is asking where he can follow you on social media.
Yeah, so my YouTube is just Jasmine Keen, just like I've written my name here. My Instagram is also just Jasmine Keen. I'm just Jasmine Keen. There's only one of me. Can you believe it? It's a little H in my name that makes it unique. So
interesting. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. This has been a blast. You are amazing, and I cannot wait to see the R.I.P Man.
Lovely. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been great chatting with you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Didn't kill each other during that.
No, not today.
I want to be a witness.
Right.